Okay. I want to be sensitive to the road conditions and the weather, so if I can get everyone to come up, I'd like to get started with the meeting, please.
Give us an inch, we take them off.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It's Tuesday, January 16th, 2024, at about 5:40 p.m. We are watching the weather conditions, and we want to get everyone home before things get too bad on the roads tonight. So we're going to go ahead and call this regular meeting of the Wake County Board of Education to order. I want to welcome all of you that have come from near and far today for today's meeting, and thanks to everyone who might be watching at home. Our Board of Education meetings are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the official business of the Wake County school system, and the public's cordially invited to attend the board meetings to observe the board as it conducts this official business. Persons who willfully interrupt, disrupt, or cause disturbances at an official meeting may be directed to leave by the presiding officer. Members of the audience should show respect for the speakers by refraining from loud comments or other disruptions. Disruptions by any person or persons of a public meeting will be subject to action in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143-318-17. And now with that, we'll ask all attendees take a seat. Everyone, okay, we got a few. Remain seated. I note that we do have a quorum today. Ms. Caulfield is unable to join us for health reasons, will not be participating remotely, but we all wish her a speedy recovery. So then if everyone else is ready, we will proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, everyone. At this point, we will turn to our leadoff hitter, Superintendent Taylor.
Okay. All right, is that it? Okay, thank you. I had the green light. What's happening here? So good evening to you all. Thank you for being at the board meeting. My comments beginning out will actually be recognizing a lot of our faculty and staff, so I think it's always a wonderful opportunity to recognize those who do great work. The 16 finalists for this year's Diane Kent Parker First Year Teacher Award were announced recently. Every year our district honors outstanding teachers in 4 categories: elementary school, middle school, high school, and special education. There are 4 finalists in each category. These teachers are recognized for their skill and effectiveness in the classroom and their passionate commitment to their students and families. The winners are chosen by a committee who review portfolios and observe finalists in their classrooms. Winners will be surprised by a visit from the Wake County Public School Prize Patrol next month. And you will know I've been drafted as a part of the Prize Patrol. This year's elementary school finalists are Erica Daniel of Olds Elementary, Amber Height of Forestville Road Elementary, Peyton Pugh of Forestville Road Elementary, and Emily Sheffield of Olds Elementary. This year's middle school finalists are Anna Armstrong of Wendell Middle, Isabel Kismaric of Ligon Middle, Magnet Middle, Emma Keel of Oberlin Magnet Middle, and Shannon Zimbrowski of Dillard Drive Magnet Middle. This year's high school finalists are Alyssa Coffenauer of Green Hope High, Carolyn Jones of Wakefield High, Essence Morgan of Knightdale High, and Grace Snipes of Athens Drive Magnet High. This year's special education finalists are Kevin McLean of Cary High, Taylor Simon of Apex High, Laura Thompson of Olds Elementary, and Peter Westerbeek of Knightdale High. Awards like this remind us that it is critically important to cultivate the next generation of teachers. They also remind us we are blessed with many young teachers who already demonstrate a high level of professionalism and commitment. Congratulations to all of this year's finalists, and best of luck to each one of those. One of last year's Diane Kent Parker Award winners is up for yet another prestigious award. Karen Dusterberg, an ECS teacher at Panther Creek High, has been selected as a finalist for the Empower NC Beginning Teacher of the Year Award. The award is given by the North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching. It honors beginning teachers for their passion, innovation, and ability to inspire students to achieve. Ms. Dusterberg has been described as a mother hen to her students. She engages them during instruction, inspires them through hands-on lessons. Ms. Dusterberg also was named Teacher of the Year by Triangle Disability and Autism Services. It is remarkable for a young teacher to make such an impact so early in her career. We can't help but wonder what the future might hold for a teacher who already is gaining notice for the meaningful connection she makes with students. Congratulations on this latest honor, and more importantly, my thanks to Ms. Dusterberg for her dedication to her students and to her profession. I can tell you that it's always vitally important that we recognize teachers for this kind of effort. It lifts the teaching profession. Congratulations are also in order for one of our outstanding veteran teachers. Mrs. Sheldon, an English teacher at Middle Creek High School and a former Wake County Public School Teacher of the Year, has been selected for the inaugural American 250 Freedom Fellows. The NC Department of Natural and Cultural Resources in Carolina, K-12, sponsors this program, which will provide teachers with resources to help students understand our state's unique and diverse history and its important role in the American Revolution. Mrs. Skeldon was one of 17 middle and high school educators from North Carolina to be accepted into this fellowship. So congratulations on being a part of this exciting new program. Now, last Thursday night, hundreds of student athletes kicked off the inaugural season of the women's flag football with a high-energy celebration at Millbrook High School. This event was organized by the Carolina Panthers, which provided the $50,000 grant to fund the sport as a pilot program in Wake County. Athletes debuted their new custom Nike uniforms provided by the Panthers and were cheered on by the Panthers mascot, Sir Purr, along with their families and fellow classmates. Flag football offers a fun and exciting way to increase athletic participation among our female students. So my thanks to the Panthers for making this opportunity possible. The first competitions are set for Saturday, January 27th, so set your calendars, with a championship tournament slated for February 10th. Best of luck to all our students, athletes, and their coaches. Finally, this evening, I'd like to encourage everyone to find ways to support this year's Wake Up and Read Children's Book Drive, which kicks off tomorrow and runs through the 17th of February. Last year, more than 90,000 books were shared with over 9,000 students at 15 partner and 16 child care centers, and we're hoping for an even bigger time this year. You can donate new or gently used books, contribute financially, and/or host your own book drive. Students who develop a love of reading early on are much more likely to be successful in the classroom. So it is important to lend our full support to early literacy efforts like Wake Up and Read. This year's book drive kicks off tomorrow at Marvel's IMAX Theater with a screening of The Right to Read. So learn more about this by visiting the WakeCountyPublicSchools.net/Wake Up and Read. Mr. Chair, that is the end of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. So I'd like to officially welcome our new vice chair, which ironically is interesting because it's our longest-serving member, is getting a welcome. But Ms. Monica Johnson-Hostler was chosen at our special meeting that we held last week to replace Ms. Tara Waters, who left for the County Commission. And so we're excited and honored to have you in this leadership position, Ms. Johnson-Hostler. We talked about several other things during that special meeting. I don't know if anyone had an opportunity to attend or is interested and missed it, but we will be phasing in a new committee structure and committee schedule. starting next month. And one of those new committees will be our new Community Engagement Committee, which we're all very excited about. This will help support our strategic plan and our superintendents and the board's goals of becoming more involved, creating more opportunities for listening and feedback from the community, and more opportunities for participation within the school district and our operations. And so we're all very excited about that. Again, I know we have a lot of folks here today, and I don't want to delay things. I will say I'm excited. This is National Mentoring Month, and I'm not going to talk a lot about it because we're going to talk about that in just a minute. It is also the month where we start having a lot of our early graduations around the district for our high school seniors who will be graduating at the completion of this semester a little bit early, and their schools are hosting special graduation ceremonies just for them and their accomplishments. So congratulations to all of our early graduates. Finally, I'm also exciting stuff. Typically, we tell you about what's gone on since the last meeting. I'm going to tell you about something coming up. We will have a special ceremony to commemorate our new Early Learning Center at Memory Road coming up later this week, which we're very excited about. As it so happens, it's located in Mr. Hershey's district, and he may have some things to report on that coming up at our next meeting. Not going to put you on the spot, Sam. Finally, as we mentioned earlier, former Vice Chair Waters has left us and has taken her seat on the Wake County Board of County Commissioners, and so we do have a vacancy. We have posted the announcement for this vacancy and the process procedures for how we will fill it. The deadline for applications is February the 5th, and all of the information about how to apply, qualifications, etc., can be found on our website. So please go to the WCPSS.net website. You should easily find a link for the Wake County Board of Education District 4 vacancy. If you or anyone that you know who lives in District 4 and is qualified to serve would be interested in applying for that position. And those are my comments. So I will go to our new Vice Chair, Ms. Johnson-Hosler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to my colleagues for the vote of confidence. It is always my pleasure to serve in whatever ways are needed for my colleagues in our district and our students. So thank you all very much. I will attempt to be brief, but when people say that, you're never brief. So I literally said I only get to talk about two things today. One, I cannot believe I missed the kickoff for women's flag football. I'm very, very sad by that. For those of you who know how I feel about our athletics and arts programs, I think it was Ms. Mahaffey and I felt very sad to miss it. But I literally did put it in my calendar while you were talking so I wouldn't forget for their game on the 27th. But again, congratulations to all of our schools, and especially the two in my district and my quasi-school that Ms. Mahaffey and I chair, Willow Springs South Garner, and our shared school, Fuquay-Varina High School. So I'm looking forward to all of those, and I certainly appreciated the comments, having had a high schooler. Our young women loved Powder Puff football, and I had not thought about making that connection until I read several of the comments and interviews from our high school students. So again, and congratulations to Darren Coe and his team for securing the grant and the opportunity for Wake to join into the pilot with Mecklenburg and a few other districts that they're looking at. So congratulations to all of them, and we look forward to cheering on yet another athletic team, and hopefully they will get sanctioned, which is their hope. The second item is just an appreciation. Like many of you, there's so many prolific words that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke into, and this year, instead of, there are lots of quotes, but instead I've actually, a call to myself and to other people is to, rather than quote his prolific words, that we try to live out his words and find ways that we practice them. This year, the Triangle MLK Day Committee chose Beloved Community, which is something I talk about a lot in my day job, where we create an environment where social determinants are not determining the outcome. In Wake County Public Schools, we say we hope your zip code does not determine your outcomes. And so that's, for me, what Beloved Community means. And so hopefully we will all practice how to operationalize that in ways that we give back and how we commit to our community. But I'd also lastly like to thank all of our students who were engaged across the Triangle in multiple ways. Specifically, I got to see our students from Garner and South Garner at the Garner MLK Day celebration. I got to hear my great colleague deliver a message on Sunday, Mr. Swanson, which I will let him speak into that, but he talked about the importance of leaning into your calling and following directions, as Dr. King did, and did an excellent job. I got to hear the MLK Junior All Children's Choir sing twice, and then one of our students who I know, who actually her mother is a employee of WCPSS, but I know her from dance, got to actually speak, and it's always a coveted position for our students to speak at the Triangle Prayer Breakfast, and so we had Blake Howard speak this year from the Y Light or Achievers, which is an important program for Black and Brown students that has been a long-term partnership between the Lightner family and the YMCA. So again, congratulations to our students who got to both engage with their oratorical skills, but also those who participated in the march and those that we got to hear sing. So, and again, thanks for our community for investing and pouring into our students to ensure that they were participants in a wonderful weekend of service and recommitment to our beloved community.
Thank you, Vice Chair Johnson Hostler. Mr. Hershey.
Thank you, Chair Haggerty. I will be brief. I want to start with I visited Martin Middle School this last week, and I did so because over the break they lost a teacher who had been on leave, Christy Dunstan, a sixth grade teacher, who had just been in the process of talking about coming back to be an intervention specialist. And just my condolences to the staff, the principal, and it's always very sad whenever we lose anybody associated with the public with our school system. So let me get that out of the way. And it, by the way, it was wonderful to be in the school. If you have not heard their choir, it is as good as any in our county. I will put them up against anybody. Unbelievable. Yesterday, or today is Tuesday, yeah, yesterday, for MLK Day of Service, I want to thank Sanderson High School, where I was. They were hosting the North Rotary Club, and those volunteers, along with students and families, packed 30,000 meals. It took us about 2 hours. I want to special shout out to the people who were runners with me. That meant we were keeping the food full in boxes and then collecting the boxes. And that when I just want to say how impressed I am with our students, the work they did, with our staff that was there. It's always wonderful to be at Sanderson High School. And so I just, it wasn't about talking, it was about doing, and I appreciate your message, Vice Chair Johnson Hostler. It means quite a bit to me, and the way I like to do it when I show up to these things is some of my friends were giving me a hard time. They said, "Did you speak?" And I said, "No, I'm not there to speak. It was just let me slide in and do the work." And that's what all the volunteers there were about. And so I thank them for the work that they did, and I look forward to doing it again next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Ng?
Hi, good evening. I hope that everybody had a good break and had some quality time with their loved ones. Last week, we said, we said farewell to Ms. Waters, who is beginning her service at Wake County Board of Ed Commissioners. I know that she will have a big impact there. And yesterday, our nation celebrated MLK Day, as others have said. And I was just doing a little research on things, and it turns out that yesterday was actually his birthday. So it just kind of happened to fall on the same day. So it was quite notable. And I was looking through my library, and I sifted through this book of speeches. And I was drawn to this speech called The American Dream that was given by him on June 6, 1961 to Lincoln University. It's a lesser-known speech, but it's still worth reading. In that speech, he talks about what the American dream means. So in reference to the Declaration of Independence, he says, and I quote, "One of the first things we notice in this dream is an amazing universalism. It does not say some men, but it says all men. It does not say all white men, but it says all men, which includes black men. It does not say all Gentiles, but it says all men, which includes Jews. It does not say all Protestants, but it says all men, which includes Catholics. And there is another thing we see in this dream that ultimately distinguishes democracy and our form of government from all of the totalitarian regimes that emerge in history. It says that each individual has certain basic rights that are neither conferred by nor derived from the state. To discover where they came from, it is necessary to move back behind the dim mist of eternity, for they are God-given. And later on in the speech, King said, God is not interested merely in the freedom of black men and brown men and yellow men. God is interested in the freedom of the whole human race and in the creation of a society where all men can live together as brothers, where every man will respect the dignity and the worth of human personality. Just some things to reflect on this new year as we honor his legacy. Just on a different note, I look forward to hearing Dr. Taylor report to the community coming up January 25th at Broughton High School. And I'm also honored to be invited to attend the Millbrook High School graduation on February 1st, so I look forward to hearing all about the young people's accomplishments, and I will continue to visit the schools in District 3 in the coming months. Thank you.
Thank you. The night after our last regular meeting in December, I attended the band concert at Westlake Middle. Several students performed solo or duo pieces, and it was a great way to start the holidays. Last week, I attended the talent show at Athens Drive Magnet High School, where one student sang a cappella a pop song in Arabic. Another student performed a parody about school suspensions. A student and teacher duo did a juggling act, and as a special performance, two of the assistant principals did a song together, one on piano and one singing. As I said during our meeting last month, I continue to be lifted up by the talent across our school district. Band and other arts can play a critical role in student success, especially during middle and high school years when for some students, these classes may be the one thing that the child looks forward to in their day. So again, thank you to all of our arts teachers and to the larger community that support arts in our schools. A little over a week ago, I went to the Olds Elementary Science Fair. Lots of great projects on display and another example of talent among our students. This event was supported in large part by NC State, including a group of graduate students that volunteered with some of the old students who needed extra support in order to participate. I was so impressed as I talked to these young people about their projects. These kids not only knew their subject matter and could explain their experiments, they also did a great job exhibiting confidence and good communication skills as they talked to me, who they did not know, and other adults about their work, the judges and other adults. Last Wednesday, I participated in our monthly SHAC meeting. The School Health Advisory Committee. I serve as the board liaison to this committee. We heard a short presentation from two of our staff here at Wake County Public Schools that lead the Employee Assistance Program. And these women are providing referrals to staff for things such as elder care, if they need that in their family, child care, referrals for food assistance, and more. They're available to staff who are in crisis, and they were part of the team that was at Southeast Raleigh High School immediately following the crisis that occurred on that campus. They also do restorative mediation between staff members. I was very impressed with their dedication to this work and made note that they are a mighty team of two. And could benefit from more resources, including another team member. One way we must support our schools is to ensure that our staff receive the support they need, and that comes in many different forms. Support through the Employee Assistance Program helps keep Wake County Schools a great place to work, and I hope that we can strengthen this program in our next budget, Dr. Taylor. Thank you.
Ms. Mahaffey.
All right. Cary Gallery of Artists on Academy Street in downtown Cary is hosting student artists from Green Level High School, Green Hope High School, Panther Creek, and Cary High School. So if you are looking for some art for your home or for a loved one, go on and visit and check out our student work. And I want to give a shout out to the cafeteria staff at Holly Grove Elementary School who received a 100 sanitation rating, which is incredible. So many congratulations to the staff over at Holly Grove Elementary School. And I just want to say good luck to our high school students that are taking exams, and congratulations to our mid-year graduates.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mahaffey. And to finish this off, Mr. Swanson.
Thank you. It's a little lonesome over here, so Rod, you might have to slide down. Well, good evening, everyone, and I just wanted to say, as we celebrate Dr. King's holiday yesterday, that also paying homage to Coretta Scott King, who was the woman that made this possible, who continued Dr. King's dream, like so many unsung women of the movement. In '68, after Dr. King was assassinated, she continued the legacy. In fact, she went down to continue the last march that he had with the sanitation workers. She and her children flew back to Memphis, Tennessee to continue that march, and so many other things. But in '83, she petitioned and lobbied Congress to make MLK a federal holiday. And so she continued the legacy of not just her husband's legacy, but building her own legacy, as well as she picked up the baton and carried it until she passed away. And so just wanted to give that, and Dr. Ing, I have that exact same book, and there's so many great unknowns in there that we can all, that I typically try to read as we go through this season. But earlier this month, I had the privilege of attending SCORE Academy with Principal Hines and touring the new North Raleigh location, and was able to sit and participate in some of the circles with some of our students. And I met a senior who is actually graduating in a week or so, who wants to go out and be a fashion designer and dibble and dab in the entrepreneurial world, and 2 other students who will be transitioning back to their base students. And so I just think that it's so great to see what our schools are doing, especially our SCORE Academy, which is considered an alternative school. But just because these schools are labeled as alternative school does not mean that our students just have to sit in those boxes that they are placed in. And so SCORE has locations throughout, and the staff does an outstanding job of making sure that their students have a coach, and those coaches come in and work with them and check in with them. And one thing I learned, which I did not quite know until I met with Principal Hines, is that on Thursdays, Wednesdays or Thursdays, in the Garner location, they open up after at 4 p.m. or so, and stay open until 8 for students who have children. They open up for after-school care so students can come in and still get their academics. And so those are just some of the little unknown things that make our district so unique and so great. So I want to say congratulations to the students of SCORE, Apex, Green Hope, and Cary High as they go into their mid-year. I also look forward to the great things as we go into a new year, of the great things that our students are going to do across this district. And as I close, and I'm sure I forgot something, so please charge it to my head and not my heart, but I want to just remind everyone that Dr. King once said that everyone can be great because everyone can serve. You don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to make your subject and your subject or verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul that is generated by love. And so as we go through this season, understand that Dr. King was not an old man. When Dr. King was first called to serve as the Montgomery bus boycott, he was 26 years old. And he was able to go through in that short amount of time to do some more miraculous things. And so to our young folks that are here and that are in the room, lean into your power and never ask for permission to do what is best, and understand that in order to create this beloved society, it requires all of us to dig in and to every now and then get into some good little trouble, as Congressman Lewis said. And so with that, I'll close by saying I enjoyed our service that Dr. Taylor and Vice Chair Johnson Hostler and Commissioner Waters and I attended, where we learned about some of the great things that was happening. And I want to just echo the great things that we've heard from the Martin Luther King Jr. All Children's Choir, just the fantastic things that they've done. And And so, yeah, so I will not belabor the point, so I thank you, and Chair Haggerty, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Swanson. So at this point on our agenda, we would approve the meeting agenda officially. I know that we have two proposed amendments. So I'll go around the table. First, Mr. Swanson, did you have an amendment to the agenda?
I do. I would like to make an amendment that we move the calendar, I can't think of the appropriate language, but moving the calendar adjustment to action, yes.
So the motion is to add to the calendar as an action item the staff recommendation coming out of the work session regarding the upcoming school day on primary election day.
That is correct, yes.
Thank you. I heard a motion from Mr. Swanson and a second from Mr. Hershey. Any discussion? All in favor of moving the item to our action agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Mr. Swanson. Next, Dr. Eng, I believe you had an amendment as well?
Yes, I'd like to amend the meeting agenda to move from consent to action, the naming of the gymnasium at Lufkin Road Middle School.
And is there a second?
Can you add "and placing it after the recognition item"?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so amended motion by Dr. Eng, second by Mr. Hershey. All in favor of moving up the action on the recognition item as described, please say so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So at this point, do we have a motion to adopt the full agenda as amended?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Mahaffey, second by Mr. Swanson. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the agenda has been approved as amended. So then next on the agenda is the recognition item. So give us just a second to transition here. I apologize. I've been having some computer problems. That's why I had to step away. Yeah, it keeps, I'm not pulling up. All right. So we will call up Jonathan Enns, Southwest Area Superintendent, and Elizabeth Hanna, Principal at Lufkin Road Middle School.
Good evening, Board Chair Haggerty, Board members, Superintendent Taylor. It's an honor to be here tonight representing the Southwestern area and specifically Lufkin Road Middle School. As you may remember, Lufkin Road Middle School former principal Karen Cinders passed away suddenly while at work on November 21st, 2022. Tonight, in accordance with Policy 9300, we are bringing forward a consent item to help honor her memory and name. Personally, I will always remember the opportunity and the privilege it was to work with Karen, and she will be remembered for her outstanding work ethic, her passion, her unwavering commitment to serve the students and staff and the learning community at Lufkin Road Middle School. We've got members of Karen's family here with us this evening, along with staff at Lufkin Road Middle School who are here with us as well. And at this point, it gives me great privilege to turn this over to Lufkin Road Middle School's current principal, Miss Elizabeth Hanna, who will walk us through the consent. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Mr. Enns. Good evening, Superintendent Taylor, board members, and dignitaries. I want to first honor and just welcome also the family of Ms. Cinders, who is here with us today, as well as the Lufkin staff who are here just representing our entire staff this evening. I would like to read for you the letter that the staff has submitted to the board seeking approval for renaming our gym. It is with great support from current and past Lufkin Road Middle School staff and community members that we propose naming our gym in memory of our former principal, Karen Cinders, who passed away unexpectedly on November 21st, 2022. Mrs. Cinders had a long career in education. She served as the principal of Lufkin Road Middle School for over 10 years, from 2012 until her passing in 2022. During this time, she always held her teachers and staff to high standards. She kept students' heart at interest. Ms. Cinders was a strong advocate for her staff and students and a passionate sports fan. She also knew the value and importance of a middle school having a functional gym space for all children. Since Lufkin was converted into a school from an industrial facility, many elements of the school are unique, including the gym. From the school's opening in 1999, due to the structure of the gym, all home volleyball and basketball games were held at the community center. And while they were practicing at the school, no home games were ever held at Lufkin. In 2017, Ms. Cinders and the former athletic director, Coach Rob Weidenberner, made it their mission to make Lufkin's home gym equitable for all students, athletes, and community members. After 2 years of their tireless efforts negotiating and fighting for the school, in the spring of 2019, the renovation was finally complete. As Coach W. said so perfectly, the renovation created a new environment for school and community because now all teams could feel that true home court advantage while providing an atmosphere for students to come and cheer them on. Karen lived for Lufkin. She wanted the best for all students there. The gym was only the fraction of the things that she did around that building and in the community to promote how amazing the Lightning family was and still is. Ms. Cinders was fully invested in Lufkin Road Middle School and the Apex community as a leader and a driving force for supporting staff and cheering on students whenever she could. She loved big ideas and anything that would help Lufkin. Apex Mayor Jacques Gilbert put it best when he said that Ms. Cinders was always that person who linked people together. She loved our community and made sure that her staff and students were part of things. It is with overwhelming support that we hope that you will consider and request our honor to remember our former principal and advocate. Thank you for your consideration and continuous support of our schools, current and former Lufkin Road Middle School staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Hannah. So are there any comments from the board at this time? Ms. Mahaffey?
I just remember the elation that Karen had when that gym was finally, I did try to donate the pole to Mr. Elliott when he was at Apex Middle School, but he was happy with his gymnasium. But the change that had in the community, I think, I can't speak for her, but she was so proud of that school. And I'm just so glad to see her family here today, and she's very missed.
Well said. Any other comments from any board members? I didn't know Miss Cinders long, but she was just such a joy, and just her loss is really missed by a lot of us. So I think this is a great honor, and thank you for bringing this proposal to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, following Dr. Ng's amendment, we would now move to an action item.
I would love to make a motion to name the gymnasium at Lufkin Road Middle School after Karen Cinders.
So we have the motion lovingly made by Ms. Mahaffey and appropriately seconded by Dr. Ng. Again, unless anyone has any other comments to add, then I would entertain a vote on this motion. All in favor of the naming of the gymnasium at Lufkin Road Middle School? After, we'll just jump into it. All in favor, say. That was the dramatic pause from Ms. Cinders, but all right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And obviously, there's no one opposed. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for your mother's contribution, your wife's contribution to our school family. We do have a second additional information item on our agenda that comes up next. This is the recognition of our NC CAT CTE Teacher of the Year runner-up, Barnan Creech from Zebulon Gifted and Talented Magnet Middle School. I believe Miss Joanne Honeycutt will be presenting. Hey.
Good evening, Chairman Haffey, members of the board, Superintendent Taylor. Thank you guys for having us. Why are you laughing at me?
She's on a
Haggerty,
well-deserved
I'm
break.
sorry. I just get too excited.
Yeah.
And then it takes me a minute to change, too. So that's part of old age, I think. I apologize,
No
Chair
worries
Haggerty.
at all.
And I was looking right at the name, too. That makes it even worse. We are excited tonight to be able to recognize an outstanding educator that has a lot of the attributes that you have mentioned and others that we are celebrating. 2 years ago, the North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching, NCAT, in partnership with the North Carolina Association for Career and Technical Education, NCACTE, partnered together to have a statewide recognition for outstanding CTE teachers. We're in the second year, as I mentioned, and we are thrilled to have the state runner-up as one of our very own in the Wake County Public School System. I have with me tonight as guests Dr. Brock Womble, who serves as the Executive Director for NCAT, and Dr. Karen Sumner, who serves as the Deputy Director of NCAT, to present an award to our winner, our runner-up, Barnan Creech, who teaches at Zebulon Middle School. Now, I would be remiss to try to list all the things that Ms. Creech teaches, because if there is a course, a subject, or an area that she believes will benefit the students at her school, her kids, as she calls them, she is the first to sign up and the first to carry the banner, and with a passion that is no other can muster, she takes that charge. She does it with heart and passion, and we are so excited and thrilled for her to be recognized in this way. So if I may, welcome Dr. Womble and Dr. Sumner to the podium.
Thank you.
Hello and greetings from the North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching. Our statewide organization provides professional development for North Carolina educators at our Cullowhee and Ocracoke campuses, in addition to online and school-based professional development. We are here with you this evening to celebrate a very special individual. Barnan Creech is North Carolina's 2023 NCAT Career and Technical Education Teacher of the Year runner-up. At NCAT, we are proud to honor teachers and the teaching profession. And the celebration of great CTE teachers is something Dr. Brock Womble, our Executive Director, is passionate about. We are here tonight celebrating Ms. Creech thanks to his vision and belief in the importance of this recognition for career and technical education teachers. I'd now like to share some highlights from Ms. Creech's impressive portfolio. Ms. Creech has taught career development courses and career modules, health science courses, and safety and tools and trades. She ensures students have ample opportunity to problem solve, collaborate, and learn workplace etiquette in every course she teaches. Students are able to earn credentials such as American Red Cross babysitting, CPR and first aid, and North Carolina food handler as middle school students. Ms. Creech has led district professional learning community meetings to help other middle school CTE teachers in her areas collaborate and share resources. Creech's instruction is engaging and hands-on and focused on leadership development and community engagement. She reviews labor market data and workforce needs to ensure her instruction is aligned and supportive of the career pathways continuum with feeder high schools. Ms. Creech helped write the Family and Consumer Science middle school curriculum and piloted the ARC babysitting course for middle schoolers, which came in really handy for many families during the pandemic. She started a HOSA chapter at her school and won a grant to support student interest in carpentry. Ms. Creech has held many leadership roles, from teacher mentor to department chair to school improvement team chair. She's also the school representative for the Zebulon Chamber of Commerce. She serves on the East Carolina Board of Visitors, the Wake Electric Membership Corporation, and has partnered with Eastern Wake Business Alliance. Ms. Creech has been described as a highly engaging teacher with a deep passion for teaching and a dedication to her students. She works with students to dream big and plan for success, noted her CTE director. A parent raved about Ms. Creech, noting she helped her son see his potential and supported him to explore many options. Her son has since gone to high school where he leads multiple clubs and organizations. And credits Ms. Creech. A student shared that he loved having her as his teacher, and he appreciates her hard work and dedication to making everyone better at Zebulon Middle. We are pleased to honor Barnann Creech this evening for her passion, her dedication, and her leadership. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Honeycutt, and a special congratulations to Ms. Creech. We're all just so honored and excited, and it's great to hear about all the great work you're doing at Zebulon. Thank you, everyone. All right, so at this point in the agenda, we will move to the public comment portion.
Chair Haggerty,
Oh, yes.
if I may.
Please.
Could we have a short break so we can meet the family and they can get out of here before public comment?
Sure.
We did it last time, I think, just for 5 minutes or so.
Sometimes between the recognition items, we'll do
Yes.
that. Can we just take a quick,
Yes.
5-minute?
That'd be fantastic.
5-minute recess, and then we'll reconvene.
Thank you so
Mr.
much,
Hershey.
Chair.
Well, you've got staff that were thinking about hanging around. We don't need staff to hang around for whatever we're going to do.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Because it's not much.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Yeah, okay, good.
We just have to get a replacement for Ms. Caulfield for the due process hearings. Witness Evans is going to do one of them. We got to get a second one, so I was going to use one session for that. So we'll talk about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, good. So you know all the things that the chair knows.
All right, then, if we can come back to order. All right, thank you. If everyone can take their seats. We will now move into the public comment portion of the meeting. Speaker, as some of you have heard this before, some of you are new, so please bear with me. Speakers commenting on items on tonight's agenda will be heard before speakers commenting on other topics. All other speakers will be heard in order of their sign-up. Only the person speaking at the podium will be able to stand. Again, all attendees that are not speaking are to remain seated. If you have to leave, please do not remain in the building, as only this room is open to the public after hours. Okay? If the public comment portion of the agenda exceeds 30 minutes, board policy states that the board chair reserves the right to conduct the other board business before inviting the remaining speakers to the podium. Members of the public are welcome to offer comments and criticism directed at substantive ideas, actions, or procedures of the board and of individual board members. The laws and policy of North Carolina provide that issues or concerns involving individual personnel and individual student matters are confidential and therefore not appropriate for a confidential setting. Or confidential and not appropriate for a public setting. Those offering comments to the board, including students, may discuss issues and matters of general concern. Concerns related to the personnel issues or student matters may be addressed through applicable WCPSS personnel, the grievance policy, and other applicable procedures. In the interest of maintaining civility and decorum, speakers are encouraged to address their comments to the Board of Education, those of us up here, and must refrain from personal attacks or insults directed at the board, individual board members, staff, or members of the general public. Please remain at the podium during your speaking time. Any materials you wish to share should be handed to the board attorney, Mr. Rod Malone, here at the end of the table, and he will have those distributed. You can distribute those to him either before or after your comments, and they'll be made part of the public record. During public comment, you may speak for up to 3 minutes. Please note that the microphones at the podium up here are adjustable. When you begin, the green light at the podium will illuminate, showing that your 3 minutes have begun. A yellow light will light up with an audible tone when there are 30 seconds remaining in your time. And you will see the red light and hear another audible tone when your time has expired. When your time is up, the next speaker will be called to the podium. Please respect the time limit and speak no more than 3 minutes. You may choose to speak for less time. And again, please respect the other speakers. It takes a lot to get up here and speak before everyone. Please show the other speakers the same courtesy you would expect if you yourselves are speaking. Okay? So with that, we will go to, as our recent policy is, we like to give our students the first opportunity on the agenda. We have several students signed up to speak tonight. So first, I would like to call up Molly Edwards, followed by Colleen Bailey. All right. Good evening, Ms. Edwards.
Evening. Do I just go? Okay. Good evening. My name is Molly Edwards, and I am a senior on the Cary High women's soccer team. Since my freshman year, I have proudly played on the varsity team at our beloved Cooper Field. Today, I stand before you not just as a player, but as a representative of a dedicated group of student athletes whose final high school season is in jeopardy due to field renovations. We understand and support the need for improvements at Cooper Field, improvements that promise to benefit future generations of student athletes at Cary High. However, the timing of these renovations, set to begin on April 1st, threaten to remove us from our home field. Without access to Cooper Field, we face the challenge of finding and paying for off-campus locations for training and home games, which includes the hurdle of arranging transportation for all players. This change affects not only our soccer team, but also the lacrosse teams and track and field, disrupting crucial moments of our student-athlete careers, including our senior night, a milestone we have looked forward to since we first stepped onto the field. We respectfully request a delay in the construction by just a few weeks. This short extension would allow us to complete our home season on the field, which has been a significant part of our high school journey. As student athletes, we've learned to adapt and overcome challenges, but we believe this challenge calls for reconsideration given its profound impact on our spring athletic season. Wake County prides itself on being a student-centered district. Today, we ask you to uphold this principle by supporting a solution that acknowledges our dedication and respects our final moments as high school athletes. Please consider a brief delay in the renovation schedule, enabling us to finish our season where it started on our home field, surrounded by our community that has supported us through our high school journey. Thank you for your time and considering our request. We trust that you will handle this matter with the best interest of all students at heart. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Colleen Bailey, followed by Charles Cole. Good evening, Ms. Bailey.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Colleen Bailey, and I am captain of the Cary High varsity women's soccer team. As Molly mentioned, on April 1st, the county has scheduled construction to begin on Cooper Field, our home stadium. The project plans to update the stadium seating, the field drainage system, and the track. These renovations are much needed, and we are grateful. However, the women's soccer team, the women's and men's lacrosse team, and the track and field team will not have a place to practice or compete, starting very early in our season. This has resulted in many challenges rescheduling matches and meets at such short notice, which our athletic director, Ryan Rogers, has worked very hard to attempt to resolve. On top of that, most other high schools in Wake County have a practice field on campus, but Cary High School does not. As a result, we don't have a convenient or quality field to use while Cooper Field is unavailable. Originally, the women's soccer team was suggested to play at East Cary Middle School. This field is unsuitable for a high school varsity team to play at. Players could potentially be injured by playing on the substandard field. Furthermore, the East Cary field will be occupied by the middle school boys soccer team and track and field team, which would make scheduling practice difficult. So we are requesting funding for a field to practice and play at while Cooper Field is under construction. An alternative can be found at Wake Med Soccer Park, which is a short drive from Cary High and would provide us a high-quality field to practice at. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next up is Charles Cole, will be followed by Rowan Bilodeau. Good evening.
Hi. Can I start whenever?
Start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Charlie Cole, and I'm a current junior at Middle Creek High School. And I'm here to provide an idea that I believe can provide more mental health awareness to the Wake County public school system in the form of placing the 988 number on the back of our student IDs that are currently blank. As you probably know, the 988 number is a federal resource providing a direct hotline to mental health support, providing a beacon of hope and assistance for those who need it. I received my student ID for the first time this year during a time where I had just recently been exposed to another student suffering from a mental health crisis, and they were unaware of their resources such as the 988 number and were discussing this with their peers instead of mental health experts, leading to more stress from both parties. This inspired me to research better ways to deal with this issue, and the underlying theme was the 988 number. I wondered why I'd never heard of it before, which could be in part to its recency of implementation or because there are only about 3 posters endorsing it at the hallways at Middle Creek, obviously showing a lack of promotion of the resource, which I believe could be resolved by placing it on the back of student ID cards. That way the resource is available to all students, helping them to make better decisions in the face of mental health crises, thus making all schools a safer and better place. I discussed this with school officials, but they said due to red tape, this is more of a decision for higher-ups. After that, I discussed this with the state representative, who informed me that there is a wide amount of room for policy to be made to accommodate this, yet it is still a county decision. This, as well as recent highlights of mental health legislation within the state, would make this a very worthy cause to implement, thus helping the student body as well as our school mental health officials. SAMHSA provides this resource, which I brought as a stimulus, free of charge. I ask for your support in bringing this resource to more light within our school system, whether on the back of student ID cards or not. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. All right, our final student speaker is Rowan Bilodeau. And then Rowan will be followed by Margaret Bilodeau.
Good evening, board members. Today I'd like to talk to you about affirming bathrooms and facilities in all Wake County Public School System buildings, but the Central Services Building, this one in particular. I think gender-neutral bathrooms are a must. Firstly, I'd like to define what a gender-neutral bathroom is. Gender-neutral just means that there is no specific gender label. These bathrooms are just a single stall that is accessible by one person at a time. It is not a multi-stall bathroom that anyone can go in. These bathrooms exist so that gender-variant people can use the restroom in peace and in private. As a gender non-conforming person, using the restroom is stressful. I personally don't care which bathroom I use because I just use it as a place to go pee. And when I leave. However, my presence in bathrooms tends to displease people. Men don't like it when I use the men's restroom and make it painfully obvious through their threats of violence. So fearing for my safety, I resort to using the women's restroom. That makes women unhappy, which I can see because they don't hide it with their dirty looks and snide comments. So I have to choose between threats of violence or being called slurs and horrible things. All just because I need to empty my bladder. When I'm at school or at the grocery store or at a gas station, using the bathroom causes me an insane amount of stress and panic, which is really unfair because that's not something that everyone has to deal with. I try to avoid using the restroom at all costs because I really only feel safe in the comfort of my own private bathroom, because I don't have to fear for my life or my safety, and I don't have to hear awful words directed at me. I wish I could just use the men's room because I don't feel like I belong in the women's, but my fear and anxiety gets in the way. I'd rather just use a gender-neutral / single-stall bathroom where it doesn't matter what I look like or how I dress, and it doesn't matter if I need to use a tampon or anything like that. A bathroom is something so basic and unthought of. It's just a place you go when you have to go, unless you're not a cisgender person, because then a bathroom is a never-ending source of stress and fear and trauma. I just really hate how much hurt I feel on a daily basis because my mere existence is such an issue. I think all gender diverse people would really appreciate more gender neutral bathrooms in this county, and you can start with this building. Thank you.
Thank you. So our next speaker is Margaret Bilodeau, who will be followed by Jim Walsh.
Hello, I'm Margaret Bilodeau, Rowan's mom, mom of 4, Wake County resident, 2 kids in Wake County Public Schools, and thank you for letting me speak tonight. I don't really have anything that special to talk about in particular tonight. I did want to talk about the action item that you guys added to the meeting tonight is really kind of what I wanted to talk about. Of all of the places in the country that I've been to as an active duty military spouse and having kids in public schools throughout the country, I can say that Wake County Public School Systems by far has carpool down to a science. And that includes DODEA schools. Nevertheless, carpool is still challenging. In fact, at my son's elementary school, which is a polling place, there quite literally is no place for additional entry or egress. Every entry point is already in use for optimal carpool function. I would be concerned about safety in carpool with additional vehicles not accustomed to the process. Additionally, my son's school also has a good number of walkers because it's a neighborhood school. I would be very concerned about the increased risk to their safety while crossing streets with the influx of traffic from polling on a day that they have school. So I would just like to ask that we please vote to close schools on polling days. And then in general, I'm always here to advocate for LGBTQIA kids and just inclusivity and equity in our school district. So just keep that in mind. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Jim Walsh, who will be followed by Mark Dixon. Good evening, Jim.
Good evening. 2 WRAL news articles caught my attention this week. The first was about a 19-year-old Holly Springs boy that was convicted or was charged with distributing child pornography. He is now out on a $2 million bond. That's a serious bond for sure. I wonder how that material he was hustling compares to the books that are in our schools and contain non-age appropriate material. If you would like, I would be more than happy to provide you with a list of more than 100 books that are of concern. To me, the big question here is, why is it inappropriate for a 19-year-old to distribute obscene material and not a school system? And no one is held accountable or responsible for housing the material. The other news item which caught my attention was a parent who reviewed the need to discuss sex trafficking with their child. The article was actually written to ask the question, why isn't sex trafficking discussed in our public schools when educating our children in subjects like, and I'm quoting, sex, drugs, social media, and other sensitive topics. I found it very interesting how the parent thought the topic should be discussed. And I'm paraphrasing here. Choose the right topic at the right time. Use appropriate language. Use simple, clear, age-appropriate terms that matches the child's age and level of understanding. Explicit details are not needed just to ensure a child learns the seriousness of the issue. Establish trust. Explain healthy relationships. Explain the importance of consent and teach your child to recognize when someone is trying to manipulate or coerce them. Online safety. Emphasize the role of internet sex trafficking. The parent covered the topics dealing with sex trafficking and its components, pornography and obscenity, very well, maybe even setting a guideline for the school board. By the way, you can point out to us how much of the new budget is curbing internet usage in the schools. I ran into a teacher at Lowe's Sunday. He shared with me how he hates students that have run of the house, and I quote, at having their faces buried in phones, tablets, and etc. while in school. He said other teachers feel the same way and want internet managed appropriately, in many cases turned off in schools.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Our next speaker is Mark Dixon, who will be followed by Dave DeTinley. Thanks for coming out this evening, Mark.
Hello, Mark Dixon. I'm a very proud parent of 2 students at Panther Creek High School. Good evening, Dr. Taylor, Chair Haggerty, and the rest of the Board of Education. I, along with a few other parents, would like to share our experience with regard to advocating for boys club volleyball at Wake County high schools. My brief story begins with my son asking if Panther Creek will have a boys volleyball team, and as he wants to try out and play for his school. My response to him was that there's not a team that competes, but he should look into it and see what it takes to have one. Thomas and some other students gathered interest and submitted proper paperwork to form a volleyball club. As they explored further, with the goal of eventually forming a team to compete with other local schools, there was a noteworthy response from the athletic director. To the idea of an interscholastic club team, quote, "We do not add sports until recognized or added by NCHSAA or added by the Wake County Public School System." From a state level, there may be some confusion as to what demand needs to be demonstrated before they make the sport official, but more importantly, it's unclear as to what is needed from the county level. This leaves the students without some answers or direction that they can take to realize their vision. Of course, we would like the high school club teams to demonstrate interest, then the state can follow on to make the sport official. It seems that what's missing is the support or direction from the school district. This is the area where I'd like your help. I fear that there may be some reasons among the athletic directors or the county athletic director for boys club volleyball that it would not be included. There may be some conflicting messages that do not lead to an understanding of the apprehension. I would like these reasons shared so they can be addressed. You will hear from some other parents that there is enthusiastic support for the sport, and it seems that the obstacles to having the students participate in interscholastic competition are very few. We believe that the incremental time to support these student athletes is very small. To be clear, the outcome we are asking for is to have boys club volleyball to be supported at the county level so that the individual high school athletic directors can allow the boys to play. I've been involved with Wake County Public School PTA since my kids were in kindergarten. My purpose has always been to support the teachers because they give the greatest gift, and to enhance the school experience for the students. So the volleyball club vision is not any different, and I'm ready to volunteer. I just need you to tell me what you need from me and the other parents. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Dave DeTenley, who will be followed by Sarah Conklin.
Good evening, Dr. Taylor, Board of Education members. Thank you for your time. My name is Dave DeTenley, and I'm the proud father of 2 boys who go to Panther Creek High School. I'm here to advocate for adding boys club volleyball in your high schools. I understand this is a process as laid out by the NCHSAA, but I also know firsthand that this sport is rising in popularity across the United States and has a groundswell of support locally. Let me give you some perspective. In 2021, there were only about 150 men's collegiate programs. Fast forward 2 years, that number has risen to over 260 collegiate programs. For the 2022 to 23 school year, just last year, Wake County alone had 4 club members locally who have gone on to play collegiately, and currently has 2 young men who are in the National Team Development Program pipeline. At the local level, I can point to Triangle Volleyball Club, which is one of the largest volleyball clubs in the state. Their recent boys program tryouts had over 100 boys registered and has now thrown its influence towards growing the sport across Wake County. Last season, they donated their facilities to host the first high school regional tournament, and this year is sponsoring the Triangle Boys High School Volleyball League in order to act as a, and I quote, gap initiative to facilitate the full formation of NCHSAA-sanctioned boys high school volleyball by the schools directly. It wasn't that long ago that less than 10 boys came to their tryouts, and the club had to balance practice and match schedules with other primary sports of their athletes. Now volleyball has become that primary sport. I would also like to point out to a recent interest meeting held at Panther Creek High School where over 40 individuals signed up to attend and learned about a volleyball club program within the high school. Let me call out a recent article about starting girls flag football by Mr. Darren Coe, where he said, I'm paraphrasing here, we know that any student who participates in athletics has greater outcomes in their education and they're a more productive citizen, all of which are fantastic points. That also apply to boys across the county who are looking for athletic outlets outside of the current high school sports offerings. Finally, I want to mention funding opportunities. Similar to the recent donation by the Carolina Panthers, the Carolina region of USA Volleyball is offering a grant to start programs in Wake County, actually across the state. I'm joined here by Sarah Conklin. You'll hear from her shortly for more details, but the bottom line is if funding is an issue, there are organizations willing to help. My ask is simple. Can you help facilitate a transparent discussion with your athletic directors to discuss the barriers that they have in starting a program and how we can help them? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Sarah Conklin, who will be followed by Link Walls. Good evening.
I will also attempt to be brief. Well, I'm on a timer, so. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Sarah Conklin, and today I'm here to increase awareness about the status of boys volleyball in North Carolina, how we help as an organization, the funding available, and college opportunities for these student athletes. As a lover of the game for a lot of decades, I won't do that math, but I'm very lucky to wear several hats in our volleyball community, not only on the state level, but on the national level as well. But today I'm speaking from my roles directly as a director of North Carolina Boys Volleyball and as a boys representative for our Carolina region of USA Volleyball. Our mission at the NCBVA, which is a volunteer-led organization, is to foster and expand high school boys volleyball in North Carolina. After 7 years, we understand that initiating a new program is super daunting. So we facilitate everything from scheduling to planning playoffs to planning the season, so they don't have to recreate the wheel. We offer a game plan of how to start a team, knowing that there's certain unique challenges at each school, but 90% is already laid out for them. So we try to make it very easy to buy. We also understand the challenges of the athletic directors and how stretched their times are. So we do, again, all the scheduling for the season. We help them find refs. And like Dave touched on, we also offer funding. And I'm sorry, I tell my guys when I coach them, if we're in a big game, say you're excited to play instead of nervous, because it changes your chemistry. So if I get shaky, I'm super excited to talk tonight. So on the funding level, the Carolina region is the second year of offering $1,000 scholarship or grants for new programs, $500 for second-year programs. They supported over 35 programs last year. We went from 13 high schools in 2022 to 47 last year. We're going to have over 90 this year, with going from a handful of guys being interested 8 years ago when my son asked me to coach to over 2,000 student athletes playing across the state, which is just mind-blowing, because this all started because my little guy said, "Hey, Mom, I want to play volleyball," right? And so here we are. On the sanctioning front, there are challenges for potential schools, and they say they'll wait until it's sanctioned to have a club or to have a team, and the state is saying you have to meet this threshold to be sanctioned. So it's a chicken and egg situation, which is incredibly challenging. Real quick on the first point, I think it's the timer, it's making me nervous. Again, any questions, I'm happy to expand. I have a lot of information after 8 years of doing this and building it. The First Point organization was made by our Olympic head coach. It helps facilitate the men's and high school level. They created, at the HBCU level, 6 full scholarship teams, creating amazing opportunities for these athletes. There's colleges, 40% growth. They need athletes, and you guys have them here. So, thank you.
Our next speaker is Link Walls, who will be followed by John Balog. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak here. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you to talk about boys volleyball tonight. And I can only imagine and sympathize with some of the hard issues that this board faces between school security, mental health issues, loss of learning during COVID. I'm here to give you a real easy one, which is boys volleyball. You know, like sometimes you just want to put something on your to-do list that's really easy because it feels real good to check it off. So that's what I believe this topic is for you. I'm a parent of 2 boys, one of whom graduated in 2022, one who's currently a junior at Enloe High School. My oldest had the opportunity as a senior at Enloe to play for the lacrosse team. And now he had never played lacrosse before, and so I was quite surprised when he came home and said he wanted to try out for lacrosse. But, you know, the process of joining a team, bonding with others, figuring out how to juggle academics with athletics and practices and games and everything else really was a great experience and really in many ways was transformational for him. And so what I really believe is that the more we can provide our young people opportunities like this in the form of athletics and other things, of course, as well, the better off our schools will be, the better off we'll be as a society overall. You know, it's pretty clear that when you look at a lot of studies, our young people, especially young men, are struggling in a lot of ways. And so I do feel like volleyball, and look, volleyball is not the answer to everything, of course, even though my son probably thinks it is. But opportunities like this for young people to belong to something, can just help out and improve their lives. I was introduced to the sport just a couple years ago when my youngest son started playing and was quite frankly surprised it wasn't a full high school sport in North Carolina like it is in a lot of other states. And so as a result, pretty much the only place to play is through private clubs, which are expensive, and obviously that limits the opportunity to those who can afford that, and it's not a realistic option for a lot of people. Volleyball is a great sport for our students with a lot of lessons that come in from playing on a team. You know, I've seen firsthand that kids in general, boys, pick up the game very quickly. And the nice thing about this is that most schools have the infrastructure in place, right? You need a net, you need a ball, and you need some willing participants. And so we have all those things already. So again, from my point about this being easy, it certainly feels like it is. And, my son is so hooked on volleyball that now he's got an old guy like me playing with him. And so I play with him once a week at a local community center. And pretty much every week there's another young person who says, oh, yeah, I go to this school, I go to that school. I'm interested in starting a team. How do we do that? And I think, quite frankly, they're struggling with trying to figure out how to make that happen, which is why we're here today. And so I really do believe the demand is out there. So my hope is that Wake County can lead here and we give more of these kids an opportunity in the future. Thank you.
All right. Our next speaker is John Baylog, followed by Nathaniel Dibble. Is John here? Thought I saw him earlier. Okay. We'll move on to Nathaniel Dibble, and if John comes in, we'll just put him back in the queue at the end. Nathaniel Dibble. All right. Same policy. We'll go to Miss Julie Page. I see Miss Page here. Miss Page, will, unless Mr. Baylog or Nathaniel Dibble comes in, will be followed by Joseph Deaton.
I wasn't prepared.
Sorry.
I don't have my thing pulled up.
Take a minute if you need it. We won't
sorry.
start time until we won't start the timer until you're ready.
My apologies. All right. Did you know that bullying and harassment are still prevalent in the Wake County schools? Even though it is not October. Whatever happened to zero tolerance? We've got some major problems at Willow Spring High School. For instance, students are stressed. They don't feel safe. They don't want to go to school. They are looking at going to other schools. Parents bring attention to the issues. They feel they're being swept under the rug. They're not being informed as to what the resolutions are. They don't need to know specifics, but they do want to know that something has been done. Policy 1710 addresses this. Policies are really just a bunch of words until they are enforced and action is taken. Making the victims move to different classes is not acceptable. The bully should be the one that has to be moving classes. I implore you, Dr. Taylor, to please address this issue all year long in our school system and not just during the month of October, as has traditionally been done. And then going on to school safety, I'm going to keep it up. Where are the body scanners? Have you ordered them yet? What are you waiting for? And just to ask the question, why is vaping getting more attention than school safety? Yes, vaping is bad, but it's bad on an individual level. Knives and guns are bad for everyone. I think we can all agree on that. Do you know what else is bad for everyone? Having students in classes with teachers that aren't teaching. Parents are looking to pull their kids out of WCPSS because of this. The kids are at the school, they're in their class, the teacher is in the class, but they are doing virtual learning in class at school. The teacher is not teaching. How can this be? Why do we pay teachers to teach, but they aren't actually teaching? This blows my mind. The kids are at school like they should be, but they are miserable because they aren't actually being taught, and therefore they aren't learning anything. We hear all the time about mental health, mental health, mental health. Well, here are 3 areas that we could definitely improve to positively affect the mental health of our students. Zero tolerance for bullying and harassment, body scanners in every school, teachers that actually teach. Keep our kids safe and give them the sound basic education they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Joseph Deaton, who will be followed by Becky Lou Hobbs. Good evening.
For Black History Month, I suggest Paul Cornley, who was born in 1903. He was an excellent student, but no medical schools would accept an African American except the University of Michigan. After medical school, none of the hospitals would hire a black physician, but someone in Michigan believed in him and supported him to come back to do a PhD in public health. And he spent his career studying the disparities in segregated hospitals and became a highly respected civil rights leader. So when John D. Rockefeller III got to hold the Presidential Commission on Population, he he invited Dr. Cornely because he needed to have diversity. In 1972, this commission published its report with its majority recommendations, including sex education in the schools to get people used to the idea of using contraceptives, plus widespread distribution of contraceptives, including to minors, abortion on demand, and the promotion of eugenics. But Dr. Cornely wrote a scathing dissent. He said that giving instruction in contraceptives to minors would strike at the foundation of the family. And hasn't Dr. Cornely been proven right? The commission promised that widespread distribution of contraceptives with abortion as the backup plan would lead to fewer out-of-wedlock births. But the exact opposite has happened. U.S. Census data shows that the percentage of children born out of wedlock was constant at 4% from 1790 to 1950, but thereafter began a steady increase to now over 50%. And you all are dealing with the consequences. All the social science data shows that children from broken homes, while they're not destined, but they are more likely to do poorly in school, be disruptive, abuse drugs and alcohol, get in trouble with the law. Chairman Haggerty expressed alarm over a fight culture in schools. Teachers and bus drivers quit because they cannot take the bad behavior, and you have to have trauma-informed education. It's time to totally revamp the values-neutral sex education, but it's going to take generations to undo the damage.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Becky Lou Hobbs, and will be followed by Amy Williams.
Hello, here's to a new year. I'm Becky Lou Hobbs, longtime Wake County resident, mom to 3 amazing kids, and chapter chair to Moms for Liberty in Wake County. So over the past few months, there's been a lot of congratulating yourselves on how things are going, the progress the students are making. But I ask you, has there really been any progress? As you know, the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction released the school report cards and the supporting data last month. And when you compare the last year's school year to 5 years prior, there's really been little change. And in fact, many categories show a decline. So 5 years ago, the 2018-19 school year, the overall Wake County school budget was $2.3 billion. This year's school budget's about $3.4 billion. There's now about 12 more schools than there were 5 years ago, but there's 1,500 fewer students. So for fewer students, Wake County now spends almost $1 billion more each year. And this is just a change in 5 years. I wonder where we'll be in another 5. And regarding student performance, the graduation rate's about the same at 89.9%. But when you look at proficiency rates, English language arts has declined 4%. So in other words, now 39% of elementary and middle school students are not proficient in English language arts. Math has declined 2%. So now 37% of elementary and middle school students are not proficient in math. That's over a third students not proficient in their core competencies in middle and elementary school. So things really better than 5 years ago? From these scores, I would say no. So I know you're going to be discussing mentoring tonight, and mentoring is a wonderful enhancement to a child's education, but it does not replace the core academic needs of our children. This board needs to focus, this board continues to focus on social programs and enhancement at the expense of our children's core academic needs. The public school system is charged to provide a sound basic education. But with 1/3 of the students not proficient, that's not proficient at grade level math and English language arts, Wake County Schools is failing our children. So today you discussed the budget and potential priorities for next year. I just ask, please turn the focus back to our kids' core academic needs. Reduce the administrative bloat. The Z does nothing to enhance the core academic needs of our children. And I hope for 2024 you get back to the basics. Prioritize the core academics of reading, writing, math, science, and history, and stop wasting our resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next, and unless anyone has returned, last speaker will be Amy Williams. No worries. We're just looking to see if Mr. Blaylock or Mr. Dibble would come back.
These are good books, I promise.
Okay.
These are good books. I can't have anyone help me up here, so I thought I'd do this. Okay. Good evening, board.
Good evening.
We're parents of 3 awesome middle school age children who up until last year attended Wake County Public Schools ending in 6th and 7th grades. See, I believe, despite some of our differences, that everyone here wants what's best for our children. See, I've been following the data on learning loss since 2020. The scores, as you all well know, have been declining and have for years. Everything that we've read out of the DPI and other education resources states that if a child is not proficient by 8th grade in the 3, reading, writing, and math, their chances of succeeding decline. And since our twins were in 3rd and our son in 4th when school shut down, we saw it firsthand. We knew we needed to do everything in our power to change that, and time was running out. So we chose a home school co-op that focuses on reading, writing, critical thinking, and math. And I wanted to share with you what we have found out. Reading. My kids are required to read a book every 2 to 3 weeks, and in the next 2 weeks, present in class a paper, an essay, or a book report while starting to read the next required assigned book. I would be lying if I told you this wasn't an uphill battle. But now they readily take the next book and they proceed with the assignment. And now this semester they've each all read 6 books. Writing. The curriculum uses a textbook called The Lost Tools of Writing. We were shocked to have our 2 7th graders and our 8th grader this far along in grade level and struggle with writing. Not one of my kids could effectively write. And I don't mean by like sentences. I mean like taking what's in here and thoughts and putting it to paper. But after a few months in, it progressed and it became easier. And we now look forward to reviewing their work, especially we have a daughter who has become so creative in her writing. Math. Whoa, math. Our daughter should have never passed 6th grade math. She was one of your non-proficients, and we already knew that based on the tears at the kitchen at the table, helping her do her homework from attending public school. Somewhere she got lost in the system. We knew we had to go back and plug in the holes where the system lost her, and I am pleased to announce that not only does she sit taller and more confident at the kitchen table, she is caught up with her twin sister. But our older son, it was apparent within 3 weeks, or 4 really, that math, at his level, grade level, he was not challenged. In fact, I would say he was quite bored. So I immediately went and got a textbook 1 grade level higher, and while challenging, he is moving forward at a higher level. And it's no secret, since I'm his teacher now, that the way it's taught today and the way that I was learned is different. However, same answer, different techniques, but to my surprise, he admits my way can sometimes be easier. It is so important for parents to get involved with their children's education, whether they homeschool, attend private, charter, or public, and there are resources out there. We are super glad we made the decisions to set them up for success. We've been giving them confidence and tools to read. Am I done?
Yeah.
I'm
but
sorry.
You can always submit additional comments to us by email or written, and we will take them. But I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you.
All right. Unless any of our last speakers have returned, no, then we will conclude the public comment period. Thank you all for your public comments tonight, braving the weather. And again, for all of you, if you have additional comments you'd like to follow up, please do reach out to board members by email, and they'll get distributed, okay? Thank you very much. All right. I'll give board members a minute, and then we will proceed with the agenda. The next item that we have is our consent agenda. We have amended what's on the consent agenda, so if board members have had an opportunity to review it, we'll entertain a motion at the appropriate time. Mr. Swanson?
So moved.
Mr. Swanson has moved adoption of the consent agenda.
Second.
And there is a second by Vice Chair Johnson Hostler. All in favor of adoption of the items on the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda passes, so we'll move to our action items. We have 2 items on the action agenda, one that was there and one that we moved there. I wasn't sure with the one we moved, if it was a first one or a second one. I will check if we're ready. Oh, okay, so it has come up as the second item now? So the mentoring will be the first item. All right. Now that it is refreshed. All right. National Mentoring Month proclamation. We have a proclamation which we would like to read to you all. Earlier, we mentioned that this was National Mentoring Proclamation, National Mentoring Month, and as you know, this is an issue that a lot of us on the board have been spending a lot of time on, trying to elevate its importance, talking to different community partners. We heard mentoring come out as an item that many of the members of the community in the Southeast Raleigh high school community wanted to see us, put more investment in and improve. And there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, but I thought this proclamation in particular for this month is a good way to publicly bring a lot of these things to light and share them with you. So I'd like to read the proclamation. Whereas January 2024 marks the 22nd anniversary of National Mentoring Month, an annual campaign that highlights the need for quality youth mentoring programs and the positive impact those programs have on our communities, state, and nation. And whereas the Wake County Public School System honors the mentors who support young people by showing up for them every day and demonstrating their commitment to helping them thrive. And whereas quality mentoring promotes healthy relationships, it helps develop communication skills, builds positive self-esteem, and supports the emotional well-being of the mentees. And whereas research demonstrates that mentored youth have higher academic aspirations than their similarly situated peers, they are 20% more likely to volunteer in the community, they are 30% more likely to engage in extracurricular activities, and they are 30% more likely to hold leadership positions while in school. And whereas mentoring plays a pivotal role in career exploration, it supports workforce development by helping young people set career goals. It equips mentors with the skills needed to support the professional growth of young people, and it drives positive outcomes for communities across the state. And whereas the Wake County Public School System Board of Education supports the district's Helping Hands mentoring program and its mission to engage, inspire, and empower youth. And whereas the Wake County Public School System's core beliefs underscore our belief that every student is uniquely capable and deserves to be challenged and engaged in relevant, rigorous, and meaningful learning every day. Whereas National Mentoring Month is the time of the year to celebrate, elevate, and encourage mentoring and recruit caring mentors from within the Wake County Public School System as well as from the surrounding community. Therefore, be it resolved that I, J. Christopher Haggerty, Wake County Public School System Board Chair, and I will also add you in that, Dr. Taylor, as well, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2024 as National Mentoring Month and call upon public officials, educators, businesses, and community members to observe this month with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs in order to acknowledge and celebrate the individuals and organizations that play a pivotal role in positive youth development, that build intergenerational relationships that support the enhancement of critical thinking skills and the capacity of deeper reflection, and promote the deeper funding, program expansion, and accessibility of quality mentoring within the district and the wider community, and support the Wake County Public School System's core beliefs, including but not limited to the commitment in core belief 2. Every student is expected to learn, grow, and succeed while we eliminate the ability to predict achievement based on socioeconomic status, race, and ethnicity. And so with that, we present that proclamation to be signed by the superintendent and myself representing the board. We'll open it up for any comment or anything any of you would like to share about mentoring or the resolution. Any thoughts? All right. Is there a motion from the board in support of the resolution?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hershey, second by Vice Chair Johnson-Hostler. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? All right, the resolution passes. Thank you very much. We'll now turn to our second action item, the new action item that was added, the update on the 2023-24 instructional calendars. We have Mr. Carrozza presenting for the staff. Mr. Carrozza, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Chair Hagerty, members of the board. Earlier this evening, staff brought forth to you a conversation regarding March 5th, 2024, being added as a non-school day for students in recognition of the primary election day that will be happening during this national election period. Based on that conversation and the information that was shared, staff heard your recommendation to bring this to an action item to move forward with making March 4th, 2024, March 5th, thank you, 2024, a non-school day, which in essence for staff would be a teacher work day for the 2023-2024 school calendar. That would be this current school year. Staff is here seeking your approval of that recommendation tonight.
All right, thank you, Mr. Carrozza. We appreciate it. We know that normally we like to give everyone time to take these issues home out of work session, reflect and review, but we also know there's some urgency around this issue, and therefore we wanted to bring it to action tonight. Is there anyone who would like to speak on the recommendation or any questions about the recommendation? We can make a motion first, yeah. So there's a motion by Mr. Swanson, second by Mr. Hershey, to approve the staff recommendation for changing the school calendar to allow for a day off on the primary election day of this year. All right, the motion is on the table. It's been properly moved and seconded for discussion. Ms. Mahaffey?
I just want to make a comment that I'm grateful that we're able to do this and that we have the bank days that allow it. And also am grateful that we have a staff teleworking policy for our folks, so that is a possibility depending on where they work. So that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Mahaffey. Any other comments? Vice Chair Johnson-Hostler.
Thank you. I certainly am glad we have the policies and practices in place to address it. I also want to acknowledge that the short notice is going to be a challenge for many families and educators who put us right in the middle of starting new semesters. But especially those of you who have childcare. Again, my role has always been to be clear that I'm married to an educator, which I prioritize, but I'm also a parent and recognize that this is going to be quite a shift to give less than 2 months' notice to this kind of transition. And hopefully for those who do not listen to our school board meetings, especially our work sessions, will go back and listen to how we got to this conversation and truly do acknowledge that it is a hardship.
Thank you, Vice Chair Johnson-Hostler. Mr. Swanson?
Thank you. I just want to echo Vice Chair Johnson-Hostler and just, this is a decision that I don't think any of us want to take lightly, but we also understand the safety needs of this and also understand that to the folks that are not necessarily new to our buildings, may not understand all the safety precautions that we have as a district, and I think it's just wise for us, although nothing has happened, but not to gosh, I can't get my words together. Not use this as an excuse not to be proactive, which none of us are doing that. But I think this is just one that we can move forward with. And I hope, as we said in the work session, it's an opportunity for us to look at the calendars in those major election years so we can already have those days set aside. So I'll stop there.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. Any other comments? Dr. Ng and then Mr. Hershey.
So I've been kind of going back and forth about it, and I do have concern about losing that cushion of days in case that we have further inclement weathers and other emergencies or whatever that may come up that require us to use those bank days, and so I'm especially the year-round school that you had mentioned about earlier, and I do know the difficulty of parents having to pick up kids and all that on that particular day, and I'm going to vote no.
Thank you, Dr. Ng. Mr. Hershey.
Yes, I just hope when we communicate that if this is approved, which I'm going to support making this a day off effectively during the primary, that we communicate the reasoning why and how many of our schools, and we're very specific with the number of schools that are polling locations. So people are aware that it's not just a handful of schools, but it's roughly 40+% of our schools, which I think will help people understand. And I do acknowledge too that it is shorter notice than we would like, and I do hope we can just build this in. I know in the past, and I want to acknowledge that the primary was never this early also, so certainly the primary days can be changed, and we will do the best we can going forward with this. And also want to recognize, take the moment that if we had calendar flexibility, if the General Assembly would be responsive to the school systems who all want calendar flexibility, this would not be a problem as far as having bank days. So I encourage people to reach out to the General Assembly and really to the one or two people who are standing in the way of calendar flexibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hershey. Are there any final comments? All right, then we have a motion. It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor of the staff recommendation, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Sounds to me like the motion passes. All right, thank you very much,
Have a good
Mr.
evening.
President. Thank you. All right, so at this point, we've reached, I believe, the end of our action items, and I would entertain a motion to return to closed session for the purposes of the statutory reasons stated earlier. I hear a motion from Ms. Edmonds, a second from Mr. Swanson. All in favor of returning to closed session, please say aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. We will move now to closed session. Thank you all for coming. Have a good